What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the best, and I can
Mm-hmm.
say that without a shadow of a doubt, the best 4400 review show out there. This is a light in the sky, Carefree Black Knight review show. I am your co-host, Rhayne Coleman, the Carefree Blurred, and we're going to discuss episode 10 today. And I have with me none other than the familiar voice himself. What's up, man?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Everything's a-okay in these fofo streets. It's the
Fofo streets.
and as the actors started that. They
Yeah, yeah.
hashtag fofo.
Yeah, I noticed that. Well, I mean, hey, we here. So this is
Mhm.
the 10th episode, the second episode after the return from the mid-season finale. And in this one is titled Give Up the Ghost.
Yeah.
With everyone at the Bois Blanc still on edge, the government deals another blow to the 4400. I didn't know it was called the Bois Blanc.
Okay,
Um,
so I was going to get to that. That's the first time that I
okay.
remember the name of the hotel being mentioned, but I chalk that up to the fact that I don't notice stuff
Yeah,
that
okay. Okay.
so it's like there's a oh man, if you watch Bob's Burgers, there's this
Okay.
boy band group, and one of their lyrics is to listen, to your significant other details. I want no details. What's your name? So
Bruh.
that's me oblivious of like the details. So shout out
Yeah.
to Bob's Burgers, but yeah,
I don't know. Boys Blanc was new to me. Now
yeah.
maybe they've said it, but I don't know. Whatever. Um, episode 10. We got three more to go. What What are your thoughts on the general thoughts on episode 10?
Uh, Before I say that, if you can hear my
Mm,
dog snoring, I apologize because she's getting deep into it. But
that's all right.
overall, I enjoyed this episode a bit better than the mid-season
Mm-hmm.
premiere that we got.
Okay.
Um, so it was, there are things that are still kind of I'm not jiving with as much,
Mm-hmm.
but it was cool.
Okay.
It was good. I came away from it not as disappointed as I was last week. So,
Okay. Okay.
but
That's
how about
good.
you?
I liked it. Some stuff didn't work well for me, and
Hmm.
then some stuff, while I was live tweeting and excited about it, was cool. But once I kind of thought about it or sat with it, I was like, I don't really know how I feel about this. So, all in all, it was good. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't without its issues. I'll say
Right.
that. Ooh. So yeah.
Well, we can jump into it because I think we started this thing of pros and cons or what
Yeah.
worked and what didn't. So let's go good. I will say my pros side of
Hmm.
the list, or at least paper, because
Hmm.
I went old school,
Yeah.
still on
Okay.
notebook. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And my chicken scratch handwriting.
Ah.
The pros were longer than the cons, so
Okay. Good.
I thought that worked in the episode's favor.
Hmm.
Um, let's just get to it.
Hmm.
The reason we're both here,
Hey.
the reason that this episode excelled, Claudette with the bat. Claudette's
Baby.
back.
Team Claudette. Yes. Yes.
Claudette is back.
Yes.
She I was happy. I was
Hmm.
very happy to see her back. And the actions that she took, and I don't know if you wanted to kind of separate those, but
Oh,
or just kind of talk about them in one
no, it's fine.
jumble.
Go ahead.
But I love the fact that you have a character who has I'm trying to think the right way to say this. She has stayed the same
Yes.
as we've established her from
Yes.
that first episode,
Hmm.
and also going back to her flashback episode where
Yep.
she's going to fight for her people
Hmm.
and she's going to knock some heads, and the explanation that they gave about her preparing. So it ain't no, and let's just say straight up, it's not my theory
Hey.
at all. It's just
Hey.
her being being who
Yes.
she is.
Yes.
So without spoiling the original series, but I did love that they kind of tied everything up, as
Hmm.
far as where she's been, 3 or 4 episodes that she's been
Hmm.
missing.
Yeah.
And she ride or die. She's like, they not gonna come for us. I got
At
some tear
all.
gas for
At
them.
all. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So yeah, but
Loved it. Loved it.
what about you? Like, what were you as far as
Ah,
Claudette?
Claudette, everything. One, the fact that she's back. It's no
Mhm.
secret that she is my favorite,
Yeah.
all-time favorite. And having her come back and, like you said, be consistent, be the same character she was from day
Mhm.
one. But I think she is consistent, but she has also adapted, I think, better than anyone else who was displaced more than 15 years that
Yeah.
we've seen. I think she is really moving into Manny's apartment, getting this job, going off on that first missing. I think it made, well, I don't know, maybe that wasn't real either, but
Mhm.
she seems to be adapting. And even her style, it remains to me consistent with the first time we saw her, but it looks a little bit more modern. I
Mhm.
love me some Claudette. There
Yeah.
ain't no secret there. Yes, I'm a fan.
But
So yeah,
so
yeah,
let me ask you this, because I know we have been having some questions about her and um LaDonna,
yeah.
kind of MIA.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you do you accept the explanation for why she had been, kind of off doing her own thing? Do you think they handled it right well, or is there a nice bow wrapped on it?
Yes and no.
Hmm.
Because intellectually, I get you. You can't have everybody on every episode.
Right.
I would have accepted it. However, it was something that Claudette said this episode. It was about the phones. Where she was like, "Yeah, they tracking us by the phones." And this, that, and then I was like, "Well, and if that's the case, then how are you? Then how do you explain being gone, but not actually being gone to a bartender's class retreat? Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna, if you're telling Mildred, hey, they're tracking us. This is how they're doing it. The government is evil." But how do you
Hmm.
also in the same breath be like, no, I wasn't at this camp. I was at Freedom Fighters camp. Or something. Like that's the only thing that kind of gets me when I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't. She contradicting herself. But I do. If with that comment aside, I
Hmm.
accept that she's gone because I feel like her out of all people would be curious, like Miss, what's her name? Old lady.
Oh man, that's a good
Miss
question.
Lady, Miss
We call her
Godmama.
Miss Lady, Miss
Yes.
Godmama.
The fact that she brought up Claudette's old homegirl, gave her
Yeah.
the newspaper
Hmm.
clippings. I feel like Claudette is a person who would adapt a little bit better to this time. She'd learn how to kind of research stuff, and I could accept her being away doing this freedom fighter stuff.
Hmm.
But so yeah, yes and no, yes and no.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So okay. So I mean, at least we got answers to that question that have
Hmm.
been kind of lingering for weeks. So,
Right.
but yeah, what about you? Pros or cons? What
Um,
worked? What didn't work?
pros. Honestly, Jessica, she's a villain. I do not
Hmm.
like her, but I think
Yeah.
she did damn good this episode. Like she's been the evil person or the
Hmm.
antagonist, but I think in this episode she really stepped into this role a little bit more, kind of.
Hmm.
Maybe they just gave her more to do, but I loved her villainy in this episode. It made me feel, especially the interrogations, it made me feel like it made her more scary, not scary, threatening. It made her more of a threat to me than she has been in any other episode. And so I really, though I do not like her, I
Hmm.
enjoy the actress's portrayal of Jessica. I loved it. I really did.
Okay. This is going to be our first disagreement of the night.
Oh no!
No,
Oh no!
I think I because we talked about this last week. She's definitely leaning into her role. I
Hmm.
think in a pretty good way. The only
Okay.
thing for me that in the interrogation scene was kind of a little clumsy to me at times,
Hmm.
because it was the whole thing of her, and I know what they were trying to do. It was like,
Hmm.
it was hot, cold, hot. And then at
Hmm.
one point she was like slamming her hands on the table,
Hmm.
and it just, and I don't want to say that it just, the scene for me just didn't work. It
Okay.
was like I actually, and it's more so her and how Soraya, because like I know Soraya was like hamming it up for that big reveal, but it seemed kind of weird, and maybe that's being like
Mm.
assaulted with, and this Law and Order,
Hey, yeah,
interrogation scenes. But it was just something weird. But the thing though that I did enjoy was in a bad way was, and this is actually speaking to the previous series,
yeah.
they were subjecting him to
Mm-hmm.
interrogation techniques that they would use on
Mm-hmm.
enemy combatants or
Yeah.
whatever during like 9/11. So like the loud rock music, if people were sitting here
Mm-hmm.
wondering like why were they doing that, it was like, no, that's
Mm-hmm.
something that the military actually does to
Absolutely.
disorient their prisoners
Mm-hmm.
or to wear them down, along
Yeah.
with some other things which we can't talk about
Hey,
here.
yeah.
But so when
Yeah.
they opened that scene up with him, and they said it had been 2 days, he
Mm-hmm.
had been in there for nobody had heard from him for 2 days.
Yeah.
So so I liked how the scene was set up, but it was, and just that they would go to those lengths, but there was something about
Mm-hmm.
her coming back and forth like, hey, how's it going,
Mm-hmm.
no, seeing, and
Yeah.
it didn't work as well for me. I think
Okay.
that it just, but nothing, I still like her as being the antagonist, because right
Mm-hmm.
now she's it.
Yeah.
Bill Green is, even if he wasn't in the hospital,
Yo.
laid up, he's still, for me, he's still bland. Like, we haven't
Yeah.
really been given any, and then we have the
Mm-hmm.
cartoony racist. But the more I look at them, I was just like, man, that's just everybody at, never mind, I mean, son say that. But I just, people like that. But
Yeah.
either way, but I think she's definitely, playing
Mm-hmm.
a role. So
Okay.
uh, yeah, so that was, my con. But what about you? Any pros or cons, anything that worked or for you?
Soraya. Soraya.
Okay.
I ironically so
Mhm.
I think I'm just still sour that I didn't see her double cross coming. So I think I'm still just giving her a
Mm,
lot of mess. But
yeah.
I don't like her. I think the actress
Mm,
is doing what she needs to do. But what's giving me pause is one, we don't I guess know what they have over her.
mhm.
So I'm trying to give some grace for that. But
Yeah.
switching from being a good guy, being a double crosser, and then kind of crossing back, that's where I'm getting a little annoyed because now I can't tell, and maybe this is the intention. I can't
Mhm.
tell if you're doing this to send Jarrell off to
Yeah.
then give this information to Jessica, or if you're
Mhm.
genuinely helping him. And I
It,
don't like that.
yeah. It was one of those things that when they, so the way it goes down is that they bring her in, and I gotta say this, I need people to stop giving her stuff, because, and I think,
Bro.
and I it
Yes.
and I think it's only, I mean, I can understand why it's happening, but like, we've had two
Hmm.
episodes where Andre gave her, the disc or the
The
jump drive.
rebuild, yeah. Hmm.
Right. Yeah. Or the rebuilt computer. Right. And
Hmm.
then you had, with all the EPSI files, or IPSI. And then right after that, you had them give her the book.
Like,
And it was like, we have two episodes back to back of
yeah,
her getting this like vital information without any effort.
at all.
Without any effort.
Oh my
So
god.
so when she stepped in, that was one of the things about the interrogation scene that wasn't working. And
Hmm.
the reason I was actually pleased that she was not at least at this point, she
Hmm.
wasn't the bad guy,
Hmm.
was because if she was the bad guy, then I was like, that interrogation scene was horrible, because it just wasn't, I wasn't really feeling it. But I
Yeah,
know that she was acting.
I do not like her. I do not like that lady. I don't. I wish nothing but bad stuff on the character, not the actress. I my issue with her is because the show has shown us, the audience, that she is a double crosser. Some
Mhm.
of this doesn't feel right. Like it feels like don't put us back in the dark where now we don't know. Oh, is she helping or is
Mhm.
she not? That's my
Right.
issue. If you had to wait and let that be a big
Mhm.
reveal at the end, then I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming. But
Yeah. Well,
mm,
I mean, and that, and thank y'all sorry for the interruption, but the dog had to go out. So, um, it was, it's one of those things where I think on a couple of fronts, our
mhm,
concern is like, we don't have enough episodes to resolve
mhm,
some of the plot threads that we've kind of put out there.
mhm,
And with her, it just seemed, even that scene, even though I like the fact that she has revealed that she is not with working with the government or possibly, I do acknowledge that we don't have enough time to see how we got to this double agent part. Now, the reveal I think though is going to be is that she's been working with Manny.
Oh,
and think about that, because she pointed out in the book, she pointed out that passage to him. So she said, "You're not looking." So if that happens, and that goes into one of the things I actually did, one of the pros. If she's been working with Manny, and then we get like a montage or something, showing, then that works, because I got a theory when we get to the Manny part of the discussion.
Okay.
But she's a part of that. But like I said, it just she did her best with acting like Jessica, acting like the bad guy.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Which is weird. But when they revealed that she was trying to help, I was just like, thank you, because we got enough, as far as the the cartoony racism in Jessica. So
oh God, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But Sarai, I would never trust her again. But I do like the actress.
Yeah, just don't give her more stuff.
Oh, for them to. And that's why I say, if they hadn't have revealed that she was like double crossing them right away, then I'm like, oh, of course, give her everything, and then kind of show. But what it's, you only have so many episodes and so many characters to kind of play around with. So I get it.
Yeah. So we can actually mention so Manny. It was Manny Mateo. Yeah. So I don't know what I was expecting, as far as with him, and I could have swore, wasn't he in Empire?
I was looking at him. I know he's done. Let me go back, because he's done a lot of stuff. I think it was like not Broadway. I think it was some. Because when they revealed him, the 4400 Writers Room account revealed his name, his Twitter name, and I went to his profile, and I was like, yeah, he's accomplished, but I don't know if I saw Empire on there. Let me see.
Westworld. No, he was. That's probably where I remember him from.
Okay.
He was a technician. So okay. So So Calvin Seabrooks, but I like Manny. I think what I liked most though was you got to see the progression of his and Jarrell's relationship grow from fractured, because I'm assuming they got the same dad, but I don't know if they have the same mothers.
See,
and or maybe not. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I thought they were adopted.
Okay.
That's what and listeners and viewers correct us if we're wrong, because I was always under the impression that they were like foster kids who were adopted together, like they weren't biologically related, but they
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And that probably that makes more sense. But I liked I think he was cool. But I liked seeing his interaction more so with Jarrell. Because I think you got to see the progression of it. It wasn't working to the point where literally wasn't working, where he had COVID. It was like a sick relationship. And then it got to the point where he was just like, man, they passing out these not treatment or He was like, I can go outside now and whatever. But so I it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't what I expected, but it wasn't bad. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Manny?
F Manny. Let me say I'm gonna say that right. So I'm of a few minds. I do like Manny. I'm glad we got a reveal, but I'm going to say a lot of harsh stuff about him, with the caveat that I'm going to at least wait until next episode, because my biggest issue with him is you revealed yourself. What is it? What was going on that was preventing you from revealing yourself? Because one, when we went to Belle Isle, I think it was episode 2 or 3, and Hayden didn't go, he said to tell Jarrell that Manny is okay. So we already set the stage that, he's aware, and I don't know if that's by premonition or if that's by, I've talked to this dude. Additionally, you've been drawing these clocks. Okay, the clocks, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you're at this hotel shows that you came over with everyone else. You also
Yeah.
drew the clock in the bar,
So
so
he's
you
been
can
out of
come
the
and go.
place.
So my thing now, I kind of go
Yeah.
back to what she said before, like, well, why doesn't he just show himself and say, "Oh, here I am"? Because it's like if you could do all this moving around, and
Mm-hmm.
these you can't tell me there's been one time where Jarrell hasn't been by himself, and you couldn't have just said, "Hey, brother, I'm here." So
Yeah.
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I was so
Mm-hmm.
pissed when he popped up. I was like, "Nigga,
Yeah.
what? You got a room?"
It'd be
Yeah,
funny if he had like he had the bar, the refrigerator, all the stuff in it. It's just nothing but wrappers. And apparently because the 4400 after 2 days can't clean them up after themselves. That shit was crazy. Like that I'll get back to that. But as far as with him, I think so at the end when he was talking, when he was sciencing it up, and I should have written down exactly the term as far as like the theory that he was studying or whatever. Um, that whatever he was doing for the government, I think put the fear of like whatever God in him or whatever, because and especially with what why he was on house arrest. They
yeah.
were like, this is their way of me not working for the competition. So,
Mm-hmm.
so when he broke down what he was talking about in
Yeah.
my mind, and he mentioned time,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started thinking about time travel. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I'm wondering if in this iteration of the 4400,
Come on.
if they're going to focus on people in the present trying to manipulate time, or
Hey.
like something to do with time travel. So if he was close to doing that, or if if he knew that's why the government was, they were like, we don't want you to go into the private sector because if you give this to like a larger
Yeah.
company, there's no telling, we won't have control over it. So that's kind
Right.
of where
Right.
my mind went, because if you think
Okay.
about it, it's kind of like an arms race to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So, at least in this case, they didn't kill the brother, but
Mm-hmm.
they just put him on house arrest and screwed up his chances of finding other work. So I'm thinking that, and please let this happen, that in the episodes after this point, because that's where my mind went. Like as soon as he dropped out of the sky, he was like, "Time to get invisible," and or did he just have a natural reaction to turn him invisible? But he
Yeah.
decided to kind of go with the flow and then only use Hayden at his point of contact. And then after that, this is kind of tying into what I was going to say with Soraya. I think she was the only one that he was talking with, because when she pointed out in that book, that's in my mind, he that came from him. And it was weird though, because we could talk about the code. I didn't get how he broke that code. Just
But see, that's what I just made that face about, is that did she figure out the code, or did he tell her, "Hey, do this"? Manny tell Soraya, "Hey, circle these." Yeah, because that wasn't. I think if you were going to do something like that, it should have been very. And maybe we just old and didn't get it. But
I mean, I'm
I feel
slow.
like
I
with the
know.
audience, I didn't either. But it's like the in between. What's between 2 and 4? Is it 2.5? I don't know. I still don't know. But no, I'm with you. That I will feel better about forgiving Soraya if that is the case, that they have been working together all this time.
Right.
Then I'm all for it. Because like, who's to say he didn't explain to her, this what they did to me, you be careful, they're gonna put you in the house arrest. So then all will be forgiven. But
right. I that's what I'm thinking. I think that when he came back, he was just like, I can't be overt with being back, because they'll just put me, lock me back up, or
right. I didn't
and
consider
then
that.
also, and he's like, well, I got this ability, so I can just chill in this hotel, and I got the space. So yeah, that's kind of, and I actually liked it, because at a certain point, I think I was getting tired of the clocks. It's just like I need a revelation. I need somebody to explain what's going on, and and I kind of enjoyed it for that. But
yeah, I agree. But the other thing though with that is, that means Manny got his powers immediately, and it wasn't Claudette. Like Manny came back and was like super powered up. So
yeah. And for me, I was like, so now is he I keep, was he supposed to be Sean or Kyle? Like, you remember that whole thing of like Sean was the reason Kyle went back was in a coma was because Sean pushed him out of the way. So Sean was not supposed to go back in the original. So maybe whoever sent him back, because we're not going to reveal that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as a spoiler for the original series, but whoever sent them back, did they send him back with more knowledge about, this is why this is why y'all are here, and this is how you control your abilities, and you got abilities, instead of tripping and stumbling into, your abilities, like everybody else has.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, I think that he would be the one character that if we do have this particular set of people controlling them, who I think would they would give more knowledge to, versus it feeling like, I just got in the car, now I'm in 2021. I think he, with that government contract, would be the one that say, okay, this is what we're doing. So maybe he's the Jordan Collier, and
maybe
the amalgamation of Jordan, Sean, and Kyle. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
And that would actually be that would be good, because you actually now have somebody from that period who, or period, or whatever they were taken to, more knowledgeable about like what we're going to do, what we have to do. Because you remember with Jordan, it got up to the point where he had to die literally to come back with all that knowledge. He was like, I walked the earth, and it was nothing but bodies in the rivers. And I was just like, that's not the type of knowledge I want to hear. Like, I thought we had flying cars and
yeah.
But there's one character that I don't want to say that they're writing him wrong, but it's weird. Like the Reverend is now okay. One of the things is I think we got the conversation we've been waiting for, but with we got I think it was a really good conversation, but we're at this weird turn where he is suffering from self-doubt to the point where I think it's Shanice is now leading the 4400, and then he's claustrophobic. Now I won't get on them about making the brother claustrophobic. It's just that's something that people deal with. But it's kind of like that right after an episode of him essentially being like, well, they can't follow me now. It's kind of it's a weird progression for him to take. It's an interesting one, and we'll see where it goes. But I mean, like, we can talk about the conversation, but I was going to say, how do you feel about the route that they're taking the Reverend?
I don't know, because I don't know. It's like they're doing everything with him, and it feels like they're giving enough development for like two people. And the claustrophobia thing was like, haven't you well, okay, I don't suffer from that, so I can't say what little things would set you off, but it feels like maybe this could have been teased a little bit before. I don't know, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But it was a choice to make. It was a choice. Like, if it was like, oh, my parents locked me in a coffin and show me life is, worth living. I don't know. I mean, they did conversion therapy to his son, so they could have been horrible to him. But I was just like, okay, I guess I don't. I guess because for me, he's always been the Jordan Collier analog. I feel like he shouldn't have these weaknesses, which is so weird to say because it's not a monolith. You can have different conditions, but it was that particular part of the scene was weird to me. Like, okay,
and I think that they were going to a place of he was trying to find comfort or help from one person who was in the elevator who turned out to be something that he apparently rails against all the time. So it's just it's kind of like I said, it's kind of a weird thing, because I think you could have still had that scene without him saying getting claustrophobic. But
he's from the 90s. She could have just knew more about technology than him. Like,
I thought you was gonna say talk to him about New Edition.
That
too. It's like, tell me something about the New Edition concert back in the day. Something to he was like, that's the devil's music, especially that boy Bobby Brown. But anyways, so let's talk about the like I said, the conversation
Yeah.
between Keisha and Isaiah. Like,
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on it?
I did not like it. I did not like
Oh,
it at all. I felt
okay,
like it was very like you feel about the interrogation thing. I felt like it was clumsy as hell. It was a
okay,
weird way to it was a weird way to have this conversation.
okay,
Um, I knew this was coming. I was
yeah,
hoping that it didn't because I was saying before, and I can't remember what episode. I was like, I do not want this whole let me go on this forgiveness journey, and now I'm accepting gay people part
mm-hmm,
of his. But the way he acted about his son, I was like, I know this is coming.
mm-hmm,
I didn't think it was terrible.
mm-hmm,
It just felt weird to me. And it especially felt weird when you've dealt with so many LGBTQAI people, from
mm-hmm,
Noah to disowning your
yeah,
son to Dot
yeah,
Andre to Keisha to Jessica. Like you've been around all these people, and to me, it felt so. It felt like for somebody displaced in time,
mm-hmm,
who's from a we established before like a black royalty in the church and the
mm-hmm,
black community. That it seems like a weird thing to focus on when people have superpowers. You like I don't know. It felt weird and clumsy to
yeah,
me. Like
mm-hmm,
first of all, why are we having this conversation? And also, why are you having this with Keisha? Which not to put anybody like into pigeonhole them or whatever, but like
mm-hmm,
90s or not, it's clear that Keisha is a particular kind of woman. Like this should
mm-hmm,
not have been. You can't
mm-hmm,
be this oblivious and also be a reverend, a leader, call yourself leading a flock. You
mm-hmm.
like, so I don't know. I didn't
I
like it.
mean, it's so it's interesting because we've gotten on the ref for being oblivious to the government, to like how they treat black people.
Ugh,
So, and he has not shown like he is one of them Clarence Thomas,
right, right.
people or whatever, types of brothers. But so when he was just like Bill Green did what? Oh man, it's like no, he probably was like you were black. And I'm going to take advantage of you. So, anyways, just always go into the conversations with the government in this circumstance,
Yo,
especially you coming back with super abilities. They just
yes.
see you as the blacks.
Mm,
One of the things that and it kind of ties into this, um, that I saw an article with the guy that plays Jarrell, and
hmm
they asked him about people who are accusing the show of being too woke. And the thing that irritates me about that is that, and it's the same thing that I've been hearing about a lot of the new Star Trek.
hmm
These people who love this property
hmm
act as if science fiction, these shows never tackled
Right.
ideas or issues that they felt they would have considered as woke.
Well, hmm
So in this case, because like in the original one, it mainly dealt with like government oversight. It dealt with
hmm
the government's overreaction to 9/11, and actually dealt with
hmm
racism, in
hmm
certain respects,
Yeah.
or the discussion of like the society against the other,
Yeah.
and all that
Excellent.
all that
Hmm
stuff. So, and then also the first episode is we have Mahershala Ali's character, being beat,
Yeah.
by other members of the military because
hmm
he's dating a white woman. So these
Yeah.
are things that they've tackled in the original series. But the
hmm
thing that frustrates me is like now, because the show is dealing with LGBTQ plus
hmm
issues, plus dealing with people of color,
Yeah.
and other religious faiths. Now
hmm
it's an issue. Now it's too
Right.
woke. So
hmm
I think it's funny because I think this would be one of the scenes where somebody would look at it and be like, "This is too woke."
Oh.
But and I don't think that, and I don't think that's the case at all. I think
hmm
that the show has firmly established that these are things that we're going to talk about.
Right.
And I definitely, what I think though is actually, after listening to, because I actually enjoyed the scene.
hmm
But I understand where you're coming from,
Yeah.
as far as the context. I think this is a conversation he should have had with his son. Like you've
Thank
established,
you.
that's
Oh.
where that's the only difference I feel. And figuring out a way to get his son to come to the center, or I keep calling 4400 center, come to the
Mhm.
hotel,
Mhm.
or having him leave to go see his son, maybe, or
Mhm.
maybe it could have been a Zoom call. I don't know, but I think that this should have been the scene, that because we've already established like he disowned his son and
Mhm.
the mother of his child. The episode before, he disowned them again, where he realized that his son was
Yep.
identified as, I guess, as queer. So this, you've already built that up.
Yeah.
Why not have that moment with the two of them?
Okay.
And I think that would have had a stronger effect rather than just having him now get stuck on an elevator with somebody who identifies as lesbian or queer. So that's the, and if I'm misusing those terms, let me know. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, so that's, I can see it from your perspective. And I
Mhm.
think the solution to that would have been, yo, let's just have this discussion before, or you could have had it in the same episode.
Mhm.
You know, it could have been like, you know, the son realizes he has a father, you know, comes to
He
talk
been
to
on the
him.
news.
Yep, he's been on the news,
Mhm.
and you know, this is where we have that, so that we can. And for me, and actually, after hearing you say that, I kind of wish that even though I like the scene, I kind of wish that they had gone with the son, rather than kind of giving, because I felt that everything that Keisha was saying was on point, and I think it's something that this show was eventually going to tackle. We got it. So
I'm with you. I do think it should have been easy, because if we got Mariah breaking into this hotel, it should be easy enough to get quit. Now maybe they just haven't casted that person yet.
Right.
However, I would even take this conversation from Noah, somebody who we already know. But yeah, I think his son would have been much, much better, because again, he's been on the news with LaDonna, face out in the open. I mean, the baby mom / girlfriend or whatever. Though I would be upset with him as her, like seeing that he's come back looking like he did 30 years ago. I would want to know what's going on. So yeah, I think having it with the son probably would have been much better than Keisha.
Yeah. What about you? What else? What else is jumping out?
That was a big one for me.
Okay.
I think we got enough with Keisha and her backstory, and also her dealings with Jessica. That I didn't really particularly care for her being the recipient of that conversation. However, the end, this is, and I think this may have just been something lost in like creating the show. But in the end, when they got off the elevator and the Reverend and Keisha were talking, she was like, "Yeah, I don't hold grudges, but I do hope you feel shame for this, and that, and something." It was like, "Thank you," and I was like, and I don't remember the wording verbatim, but it was pretty much like, I'm not apologizing for my homophobia. I'm just saying thank you for not telling other people in the 4400 about my hate, whatever. I was like, this is very weird. Why did he say thank you? But that's something small. Manny and COVID. I like it. I want to say I don't like it, but this isn't something like saying, "Oh, Beyonce's new album was so good that would date the show." This is like a worldwide pandemic, so I'm okay with that. I do appreciate that we got the Kermansky household addressing COVID and being fine, but then we also got someone who actually dealt with the negative effects, and it wasn't someone who just quarantined and was great. So I actually did appreciate that with Manny's storyline, and I think adding that COVID element in kind of enhanced the like science fiction, house arrest, in between space and time thing. So with COVID, I'm kind of pro and con, but leaning more towards pro, because they actually addressed it. And it's like, this is firmly rooted in 2021 in real life. So I appreciated that.
Well, I mean, we've had the security guards wearing the mask, and
I don't care about them.
they're just the side characters who just, when something happens, they go like this.
Right. Those darn brown people. No.
They're what was the other thing? So for there, another thing that stands out to me is like, so Mildred made her appearance in this one. I'm at a point now where we really need to see Mildred's backstory, because her talking about being victimized, her reaction to when Andre was not experimenting on her, but I guess running his test. When Claudette tried to cut her hair today, this episode, it's the reactions with no context, and then also we have Ipsy Med, so we don't have any context as far as like when I say that Claudette like knuckling up, about to get ready. Like we know where that comes from. She during the with civil rights struggle, she was just like, we can't keep doing what we're doing. We need to ride on these, that type of thing. So we understand why she is where she's at. With Mildred, when she like yelled at this, like for about to get a haircut, it just for me it was a bit much. And I understand that she's dealing with like some type of trauma, but we don't know what that is. And to be 3 episodes away from the end, the end of this season, I felt that it's something, once again, we should have seen before this. So I just like, so when she was about to cut her hair, I was like, oh Jesus. It was a lot. It was a lot. And then Claudette had to talk her down to give her a haircut. So I don't know. I just Mildred is kind of a back and forth, and especially element of this, but especially with where we see where we see her in the next episode. I just remember something. No, what were your thoughts about Mildred?
Where the hell is her sister, and why should we care?
Right.
That's where I'm like, because again, I agree with everything you said. And when you're giving us things flash forwards of her and like her army fatigue, you could have given us more 70s with her sister to figure out what's what. Like, because now my thing is, you mentioned her sister. She asked, hey, no, do you think she's okay? Was your sister also abducted? Is she just alive and lived chronologically or like in sequence or whatever? Like, I'm with you. It's like there's so many different pieces, and we don't have the one thing that'll bring all this together. Because I think her story is very interesting,
right?
But I'm not emotionally invested. I'm just more like, what the fuck is going on, little girl? You weren't like this before. So yeah.
So the So what do you think of the haircut and the?
I was looking up I tweeted out something. Oh my god, it was a Nicki Minaj lyric from B.O.B. So she said, "What they calling you, B.O.B.? They calling you Bob." I'm known for either way. That was very. I don't understand what this is, and I'm speaking more so with knowledge of the first series. And you shouldn't compare them, but this is a series where you can actually compare certain characters and see who's who. But is this Isabel? Like, what is happening that now you're getting this big chop, this colorful wig, and so what? I get like, why? I get what Claudette is saying, like a rebrand, but like even with that, like she killed a man. This wasn't you showed your powers and now we got a PR. Well, he's not dead, but attempted murder somebody.
Attempted murder on live TV.
So, I don't understand it. I'm going to go with them for this next episode. Will determine how I feel about the series. But it was very much barbershop, hair salon. No, I want number 6. The red 1, 2, 3. Yeah, like, what is going on?
Can I get that 10? Because that the almost murdering teenager is the thing that got me, and I'm not trying to sound superficial as far as the hairstyles or whatever. The reason I brought that up was because I thought she was trying to keep a low profile. So
no, she ultimately was like, well, no, they know who you are. We're going to stand up in, and I'm like, wait.
Okay. So that leads me to my next point. Why is she putting a picture of Mildred in the bar? I understand that the bar has been supporting the 4400 by giving them supplies, by giving them a place where they can congregate and not have to worry about the BS, because the manager kicked out the actually maybe not so much because the racist guys were there a couple episodes ago. Hey. So no, that was the same I'm sorry. Maybe they were at a different place where when the security guard, I think last episode. So I don't know where they were, but don't put up. That's like me putting a no matter what your political leanings are. That's like putting up a picture of the somebody from like FBI's top 10 wanted list in the window of a coffee shop. and then having people look at this and say, what the hell is going on, yo? Like,
Yeah.
is this a glamour shot? Like, no, it was attempted murder. So it was just, that was a weird thing when she was like, Claudette looked around and she put it up. I mean, like, if I was a cop walking by, I'm like, do you know anything about this? Because this is some weird ass shit.
This is a recent picture too. She sure didn't look like this yesterday.
Right.
Like,
Like,
and who? Wait a minute. Well, I guess Claudette is a photographer. I'm about to say, who developed this and made this flyer? But like,
with the graphic design, no, she went on to Canva. She went on to Canva.
That was terrible.
Claudette says she's been figuring stuff out since she's been going. So graphic design is a part of that. But I just when she put that up, I was like, Claudette, no, you were doing good. You under the radar. You got your hideaway where you building your tear gas bombs.
Oh my god!
But it was something funny. And then when I saw the haircut, I was like, but I understand what you're saying, that they want her to be a kind of a focal point for the movement.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but I just like low key.
Yeah.
Just like and so.
Like it.
And the other part of that though was, you mentioned this when we got to see more of Mariah and Shanice talking, and I like that they're building their relationship up, which works. The thing though that got me about that was when Mariah mentioned that she was into Mildred, and so Shanice was like, oh, that's so sweet. And in my mind, I was just like, but even maybe she feels a certain way about Mildred. She still tried to murder a man on live TV. And for her to be just like, you know what, just ride with it. Wherever your heart takes you. I was just like, she was about to bludgeon that man.
But also knowing Hayden likes her, and Hayden will put you through a wall for messing with his people. Like, she's in the house with this boy. She could die if she say I like Mildred. So,
they're so I guess you got the now love triangle, which is I guess it's on brand for CW. I mean, that happens a lot.
I'm always tired.
Even on Arrowverse, but I didn't, like I said, I love the fact that Mildred is just a shit. Like, she's just like for everybody. But no, like when she reacted to Mariah, liking Mildred, but not to the fact that like she almost, and Mildred admitted, like, if the Reverend hadn't taken my powers up.
Yes, I would have done damage. Yes.
Right. Yes. It was come on. I was like, Shanice, you don't have to be the cool mom who accepts attempted murder.
Like, out of all the situations we've been in, you have like gone 0 to 100, but now you're like, oh girl, yes.
She's gonna go for yours. Go for yours.
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh man. What about what else?
Yeah, no, with that scene though, though it was kind of clunky, I did like it. The Shanice, Andre, Mariah initial call, because Andre, to me, he's this character now that I think out of everybody, he is one who can be like very campy, very over the top. Yeah. But when he was in the camera view and he was like, oh, and he was there for his he was like, oh, okay. That whole exchange to me was actually very very good. I appreciated that. And then that kind of helped later on for the conversation about Mildred and about Mariah's like, oh yeah, I bet on y'all. I knew y'all were into each other, whatever. And that's cute. I do like that Mariah and Shanice get this mother-daughter, like, boys, girls, how do you feel talk that they didn't get like for 16 years. So that's cute. Mariah being queer, I have nothing against it. I think it took me off guard, and not in a bad way, but maybe this is something that they did plan, because I remember when they had the interview, the family interview, she was like, yeah, Mildred's such a great, wonderful girl. She's so strong and powerful and this and that. And so I'm willing to accept this. It's not like an issue, but something about her delivery of like, I don't know, it was just kind of weird to me. So it's not about her being queer. I don't have an issue with that, but something about Mariah's delivery, it wasn't bad, but I was like, this ain't really working for me. Like or maybe it's not landing like I thought it should. I don't know, but that's
No, I can understand. Like, but she been in that Mildred camp for a minute.
No,
Like
yeah.
they've been establishing that, and like even once again after seeing her almost like bludgeon somebody, she was just like, Thelma, like we ride or die or whatever. So, the I think the other thing for me was let me give a special shout out to Rhayne for hustling in these Twitter streets with interacting with these celebrities because me, I'm like what's the Twitter, but no, Rhayne has been tweeting actively when the show's on, and also connecting with what was the thing? Logan, and he sent me a screenshot of one tweet where we talked about the Plaid brothers, him and Andre, and I actually liked this. I thought it was weird that Logan just showed up, but it seems like it's kind of on brand for him for do something like this or whatever.
Yeah.
So once again, to see their kind of friction build up to when he said bromance, and Andre was just like, I'm flattered, but I'm not interested or whatever.
Yeah.
But actually, I enjoyed that. I thought it was nice, a little bit of levity, in the in the story, for the episode. So, so maybe we'll pair them up again, or maybe they'll pair them up again.
Honestly, I hope. Like I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I enjoyed it mainly because the show, I think, in my opinion, did a really good job of showcasing both of their strong suits. And it's not even necessarily, oh, you're this talented man who does this. It's just the fact that they're from two different time periods. Excuse me. So for Andre to be good with the World War I bombs, but then Logan to have a generator, and then Andre to have candles, but then Logan, even with his, like you said, bromance comment, I just like that. I think they did a really good job of pairing these two characters together and giving them different talents that made sense with their time period, and also, like you said, gave a little bit of levity to this weird love triangle square that we're in, where Bridget is no longer around. I'm like, where is Bridget?
Bridget, she had that bartending conference that.
No, for real.
That was she building bombs herself.
Oh my goodness, yes.
But I enjoyed that. Enjoyed the two of them together. What about you? Anything else that's jumping out at you?
Not really, because that was my last point. Was that I did like them in that pairing. Soraya, not a fan. Manny, I'm on the fence, but I'm gonna give him another episode. And really, the Keisha and Rev stuff. Honestly, that was the majority of what I had.
Okay. And not me jumping around, just jumping things or whatever. But yeah, I think it. Generally speaking, I think for me it was a better episode than last week. Once again, I have no idea where this is going to go. I will say, and actually that's something I guess we can talk about it. Well, no, I mean just talk about now. In the same interview, the guy playing Jarrell, and Joseph David Jones mentioned that when he was talking about the anti-woke people, one of the things he mentioned is that they are going to tackle January 6th.
Oh wow, so, really?
Yeah, they're going to tackle like their version. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, bro.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but I think you could see a little bit of that in the trailers.
The security guards, I can see that.
Yeah, and one guy, I was about to say, he's like, let's ride on them. No, he didn't say that. No, he was like, let's do it or something, and whatever. It was some like crazy looking white guy, but I was like, oh shit, this is it's about to pop off.
Yeah.
So hopefully Mildred will get her ability so she can go Call of Duty or SEAL Team 6.
Yes.
But that's so they're gonna keep highlighting stuff that's happening. And for people who haven't seen the series before, who are watching this podcast or watching this iteration of it, the older series did deal with that stuff. It
Absolutely.
just, yeah. So I mean, they need to stop acting. That these, it's like funny, people have forgetful memories, but when it's not focusing on stuff that they're interested in, that's when it's like woke. It's just like whatever.
Yeah. It's just so strange, even with comics. Like,
it's the same. We have the same discussion.
Yeah.
Like, So, anyways, but we can have a long drawn out discussion about that. So, are we ready for favorites, least favorites, and were there any questions?
I want to throw in Jarrell. I am a fan, but F Jarrell. When they had that, this is from a flashback scene when Manny was shirtless and he was trying to fix, I think, the AC or the shower, and they had his shirt off. You could see his tattoo, and Jarrell was like, "Oh, you covered up Dad's tattoo." And he was like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't want to be tied to that man." When Jarrell started going into about, well, you were always in trouble and doing this and that, it triggered me. It sent me back to that Supergirl episode where her and her sister were kind of having the same conversation about their dead father. And I was like, man, I understand that you loved your dad or whatever, and you have a certain idea of Manny. But if this man is telling you out of his big grown mouth, Dad was shitty to me, you saw it, he did these things. I was like, man, Jarrell, come on. Like, but that's the one. That's it.
Yeah.
I was pissed.
No, you're fine. And like I said, and that kind of still that plays to like the progression of their relationship. As far as getting better, or at least getting to a better spot than where it was before. Absolutely. And who knows, we might get flashbacks to that. I mean, if we get a second season, they might try to delve more into what's come before, what's happened. That seems to be their not trademark, but it's just something that's a signature thing that they're doing.
The episode, remember the episode about I want what happened to Homeboy to happen to Jarrell and Manny.
Okay.
With the drugs and the I would love to see that.
All right. But so let's get who was your favorite of the episode?
Oh, my favorite. I wanted Claudette, of course, but like, do I want to say her? I'm still going Claudette. I don't care. Claudette.
I'm the same way. Claudette for me, like, and it's funny because like time wise, I don't know if she had less screen time than others in the same episode, but because the main focus was on Jarrell and Manny. Actually, no, she probably did have less. Now that I think about it, but even with less time. Which maybe wasn't much, but there was a lot that really happened with her, and I think there's something just kind of about that actress, kind of working the scenes or owning the scenes that working out, and I think she's going to be one of the ones that we might see her pop up somewhere else.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And so, who was your least favorite of the episode?
I want to say Soraya, but I honestly. I'm probably gonna go with Rev.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna go with Rev because I just that elevator scene. I just don't understand his character, so I'm going with Rev. I gotta go with Rev.
Okay. For me, it's going to be Jessica, and I think it's specifically for the interrogation scene. Like it was I don't want to say campy, but at times it was a little bit too over the top, and we always say there's nothing against the actress, but it just for some reason it just wasn't working for me. So
I get it.
And what about your favorite scene?
Lord, okay, favorite scene. Now I did say I like that first scene with Mariah, Andre, and Shanice, but do I want to go with a Claudette scene? No, she was my favorite, so let me go. Favorite scene. Probably, do I want to go with the Manny reveal? Probably the Manny reveal, because even though we saw him in the flashbacks, I wasn't so sure that we were going to see him present day. Like I was, built up in my head. Oh, he's invisible. Oh, he's between space and time. Like I I knew, which I should have saw because we saw the flashbacks, but I'm
Right.
going to go with the Manny reveal at the end because I was pissed. I was going through different emotions. So I'm going to go with the Manny reveal. Yeah.
For me, it's Claudette's reveal. About what she's been doing.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't want to dog the earlier instances where they were like, she's
Mhm.
just at a. I don't know.
Right.
Sometimes that worked for me, sometimes it didn't. But
Hmm.
the explanation for what she's been doing is in
Yeah.
keeping with her character so much that
Hmm.
it worked for me.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I can see
but
that.
yeah, so
Oof.
as far as so in this episode, because this happened twice, how many raised weapons? Because Andre's part, it was a stool, and then Claudette's part, it was the bat. So how many raised
Yo.
weapons? How many are you gonna
uh,
rank this by?
this one is an odd one because, much like you said, this felt better than the
Hmm.
return from the mid-season finale episode, but it wasn't without its issues.
Yeah.
We had a 10. Did we do 5 or 10? 10?
Yeah, well, out of 10, and
Okay.
yesterday, last week we both gave it fives.
Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
would give this then. I would say it's 6. I'm gonna just do 7. I'm gonna just do 7
Okay.
and call it a day. Though I do want to do
Hmm.
6.5. I'm gonna do 7. I'm gonna just give it a 7.
I'm solid 6.5 for me.
Mm.
So yeah, so it's because I in my mind I was like, I don't think, because the sevens are what we've been giving a
Hmm.
lot of the more the episodes that have worked for us. Like I
Yeah.
don't think we've given an episode at 8 or above.
Oh, you're
Um,
right.
I mean, we would have to go back and
Hmm.
listen to the end of every
Yeah,
episode,
but
but
I don't think so
I
either.
yeah, I think 7 is normally like our average, and
Oh,
for a lot of folks that may not be a good thing. It's just
yeah.
like right now I'm kind of in that area,
Hmm. Yeah.
so 6.5 is kind of where
Okay.
I'm at for this one. So
Okay. Okay. I'm with you, and I
mhm.
agree. I am going to stick with my 7 just to give it a better average, but I
Yeah,
am kind of
yeah,
leaning more towards
yeah,
6.5. But yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I'll
Dang.
stick with your 7. I mean, we
Yeah.
got 3 episodes, and
Hmm.
we'll see how it wraps things up. But
Oof.
just to people listening or watching, just
Mhm.
definitely stick with us, stick with the show.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
still haven't heard anything about next season,
Bro, what are they
so
waiting for? Shit.
I don't know.
Mhm.
They and this is a side tangent. They
Yeah.
had a release last week, announced a bunch of renewals for Star Trek
Mhm.
shows, some of which haven't even come out yet.
Oh, so
I
they've
was
got
just like, exactly. So I'm like, damn,
what?
there's one Trek show that's coming out, which already has a season 2 locked up. And I'm just like, hey, they
Not,
must have been impressing the hell out of those
hey,
executives.
yes, for sure.
So, but so we'll see. Like I said, we'll see where things go, and just take it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This was something. This was something, man. We do got a few comments. We got
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pretty sure they mentioned it like once in passing on the pilot. John says, I think that was a reference to the name of the hotel.
Okay.
Let's see, Dark Sith. Oh, come on. I do hate that it was tear gas. I wonder what would you have preferred it to be if you're still watching Dark Sith. Let us know. You said you hate that Claudette was making tear gas. What would you have preferred she be making?
Hmm.
Let's see. Oh, I guess I'll put it up there, huh? I do hate that it was tear gas. Let's see. Live in a hotel, go somewhere else. Okay. You give your phone to someone else. Okay, yeah. Speaking about the phone, they also mentioned the phone. I wonder if that is in reference to Claudette as well. I wasn't really watching the comments initially. Jeez. But he says that you leave it at the hotel or give it to someone else. And
Okay.
then okay, yeah. So he agreed with you. The didn't reveal himself because the feds wanted him in reference to
Hmm.
Manny being invisible. Um, oh, this is interesting. Also mentioned that Jarrell was still working for the feds. Manny didn't know if he was trustworthy. Now
Uh,
that
Wow.
You know, well, it's been a year, so maybe I can see that. Honestly, I can see that. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get mad at that. And then he says, remember before the quarantine house arrest, they hadn't seen each other for a minute, referring to Manny and Jarrell. So yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
So because I'd imagine in the flashbacks, maybe they spent a month together. You think maybe all together,
Maybe.
maybe a month. So
Yeah.
yeah, I completely understand that. Let's see, and I'm going to call Mildred either Murrow or Callisto. Not sure which one. So both. So, and
That should be
then
pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah, they follow up with Claudette all day every
All
day.
day, every
Yes,
day.
yes. Team Claudette
Yeah.
high. And lastly, he says, but the cop chick in the elevator is a close second. Can't remember her name. Keisha. So Keisha is a close second to your favorite of this episode. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's fair. I'm not mad at that. I think Keisha did some good work on this episode. So yeah. Any closing thoughts? What's up?
I don't know where we're going. Just like except, and sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's kind of like, I'm concerned, but I'm just keeping the middle of the road right now. Just that's all I can say.
Yeah.
That's
No, we're on the same page because I have no idea. And that's kind of the fun of it, but knowing 3 episodes with all these plot lines going on, like, and y'all ain't renewed for season 2 yet? Oh no, we gotta get something in there. But yeah, I'm of the same mind. Cool. Okay, so this has been interesting, man. Just so let these people know where they can find you, support you, and see you off of here.
Instagram handle is Robert K. Jeffrey, JFFREY, and as always, go to blacksci-fi.com to get the latest and greatest news for Black speculative fiction and STEM and just nerd stuff. So
yes. So of course, those links will be in the show notes, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're on the podcast platform. Click on those links. Me, Twitter, Carefree Blur. That's the most immediate way to get in touch with me. Carefree Black Nerd on Instagram and all other social medias. And if you have to send an email, you got a little bit more wordy, beefy ideas and thoughts that you want to get out, carefreeblacknerd@gmail.com. Somewhere in the title, have 4400, a light in the sky, something to get my attention because, you might go to spam. Cool. Okay, so we got 3 more episodes to go. And this has been episode 10. So everybody stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, stay lying about what retreat you're at if you want to, I don't know, create a tear gas situation. Also, everybody get a bob. Everybody get a red bob. And we'll be back here next week.
there you go.
Yeah, man. All right, y'all.
Bye, y'all.